Hey everyone, I'm sure you may be liking the recent poll in this channel. I just thought I'll ask some simple questions so that we can either refresh the knowledge or you can just learn something new. Okay, so I've got a different interesting poll answers for different questions. Let's have a quick look at them and understand what are the really the correct answers. So I'll start with the first question, the very basic one. So what's a commonly used phrase when we write a first program? So 4% is hello, 15% answer is hello world, and 81% is hello world with the right punctuation, including the comma, an exclamatory mark, and then there is an uppercase H and W. So the correct answer is 81% is the correct answer, but that's a general convention. I also pasted the link here. You can have a read through them. What are they actually really the right result? But the correct answer is the 81%, which is the right result. But it's interesting to see a 15% think it is a function name or maybe the camel case character, and 4% is thinks that it is a hello. But we can pretty much use anything, but this is just a general convention. Okay, the second question is which method does not exist in JavaScript console object? So it got a mixed answer. 14% think that assert method does not exist, while 64% is print does not exist. And interestingly, 5% think that the log does not exist, log method does not exist, which is a pretty interesting one. Console.error, 18% think that error does not exist. So let's have a quick look at them. If I just put console dot, pretty much we can see n number of properties and methods. So we have assert is a method, and we also got console.log is a very standard one. Console.error also exists. For example, you can look at the console.error, but what is does not exist is a print. So print console.print does not exist is the correct answer. But interestingly, while 18% think error does not exist, error obviously exists, so we can print any of the error in console. The way we write console.log. And another interesting is assert also exists. So assert is an interesting one. So pretty much we can make a simple assertion while we run a standard JavaScript code. For example, if I put a simple expression, let's say 1 greater than 2, which is obviously a failure. If in case it fails, then it's going to say no, it is not. So if I just print this one now, let's see, it is saying that assertion failure. No, it is not, because this expression is not true. So obviously this will raise an alert. That's a standard JavaScript feature. So again, the correct answer here is the console.print does not exist. That's the correct answer. Print basically exists in Python. So you can just use this a print word and then put a string that will print in the console. Okay, next question is let a equal to 0 if a console.log a is value. So interestingly, 65% is the right answer because it just runs in but no output. But 20% is a is 0. 15% think that it is syntax error. So basically, what is the syntax here is basically if I just copy this code without doing anything and then let me just print this out. If I just run this code, I don't see any output here, meaning because this a equal to 0 is a falsy value. In a Boolean context, if a, because this will evaluate to false because 0 is one of the falsy values, because we remember we have seen 6 type of falsy values and 0 is one of them, and this will evaluate to false. Obviously this block won't get executed. And in JavaScript, if you're writing a single statement, you can write without the curly braces as well, which is also possible. So that's why it will not give you any output, but syntactically this is a correct expression and correct statement. Right, so there are 65 answer is the correct answer. And the next is a pretty simple one. NPM stands for, interestingly, 4% think it is a node manager, and 96% is the highest response thinks that it is a node package manager. So it's an package manager, dependency manager, where we can pull any of the external packages to write our program. And interestingly, nobody answers for performance manager. That's good. So the correct answer is node package manager. And another interesting question, object and array are mutable in JavaScript. 71% yes, 8% no, and then 21% think I don't know what that's mutable is. Okay, let's clarify this. Let me just do a quick example of, let me declare a string variable and then say, for example, JavaScript. And so let's understand whether string is mutable or not. So if I use one of the method string, I can apply a method to uppercase, for example, and then if I just print this now, what's going to happen? Nothing is going to happen because I'm not putting any console.log. But if I just put console print this console.log, just print the original string, right? So I've just updated to low uppercase, but I'm just stringing the original string. And if I run it this code now, what you see here is still JavaScript, but it did not change its standard. It did not change its original state. That means string in JavaScript is immutable. Immutable means it cannot be changed. So the way you can read it, mutable is writable and immutable is read only. That's how you can interpret it. So mutable is writable because you can, if it changed its original state, then JavaScript would have, string would have become a mutable, but it is not. It is still maintaining its original state. But if I just assign this to another value, let's say for example modified string, and then if I just print that modified string, now we will see when we print the modified string, we'll get the uppercase character and the other one will be still a lowercase. Looks like I made a mistake. Modified string is not defined. It is. Let's see. Yeah, so the problem is this because it is running in a temp code runner. So basically it is just a caching issue. Let me clear this and reload this. Let me just reload a window. That's a challenge when we use the internal runner basically. So I've been using this command line. Anyway, if I just run it now, so what you see here is the uppercase JavaScript and this is a lowercase JavaScript. So meaning we can get the modified value as a variable or assigned to a variable, but the original value will still remain. So any of its string method will not change its original state. That's why string is immutable. But in case of an object, so we have seen a string now. Let me just put an object here and then initially assign a value. So let's say that initially a equal to 1 and then b equal to say 2. So this is my simple object. If I just console this out now, what I'm going to do now, if I just print this console clg and then trying to print this obj, if I print this one, it will just give me a equal to 1 and b equal to 2, so which is correct, right? So why objects are mutable? Basically, let's see. If I use the same object and reset the value by just assigning null, and if I just put a console.log and then print the original object, right? Remember, I'm printing the original object. So ideally, if it is, let's see what's going to happen. So it's running a poll result, and then what you're seeing in the second is the null because it obviously reset its entire value. So it did not maintain its original state. Obviously, it is changeable. That means mutable. So the same thing goes for array as well. So array and objects in JavaScript are mutable. So remember, this is a very interesting point and key to understand automation. So when you have an object letter like this, and if you change any of its value in subsequent lines, remember the original object will be changed. So referencing that object in subsequent earlier any other program will give you a modified result. That's a learning, right? Okay, so that's why the answer is here 71% is the right answer, which is the objects in array are mutable. Now, where let const are basically what? What are these? So 14% is operators, 81% is variable, and 5% is statement. But the interesting point here is, if you look at individually where let and const are basically statements. So the 5% answer is the right answer, but it is not variable. So this where let const statement are used to declare a variable. So obviously variable is a wrong answer. The right answer is statement. And then operators, somebody thinks that this where let constant are really operators, which is not. So the right answer is the statement. Where let constant actually statement by definition, but these are used to declare variables. Okay, another question is, what happens if I install a flag -g or double dash global when we install a npm package? So the 73% is the right answer, which will install globally, which means if you just open command line, we can access that package anywhere. So we can just put npm run that particular command, whatever package that you install, that will run it, irrespective of whichever location you are. So that's the right answer. But 9% is nothing happens, it installs a given package, which is wrong. And dash g dash double dash global is not a valid flag. Actually, it is a valid flag and it will install packages at global scope. So the answer is 73% is the right answer, which is installing globally, and the command line, it will just be making sure available to the command line. Now another question is let array equal to array. I'm just declaring an empty array and just trying to print the type of array. So this again interesting answers. 54% is the array, 8% is think in uppercase array, and then 23% object, 15% is object. So the interesting point here is the right answer is object. Basically internally an array is an object. So if I just copy these two lines and then print this out, you will understand what it is. So in JavaScript, array are basically internally written as an object. So if I just print this code, now you see what the result is, an object. So how do you then know when you deal with an array, then how do you know whether this particular type of is an array? So what, instead of using the type of operator, what you can use is just get the variable array and then use, there is a constructor property. If you just do a constructor property of that array, if it is an array type, this will return array in the console. If I just clear this out and then run the code, what you see here is this a function array. So that's how you can differentiate whether a given variable or object is an array or object internally. So it may not be useful using that type of operator, because the type of operator will return the object for both array and object. So the right answer here is object, which is 23%. Okay, let count equal this one. So let count equal to 1. What best describes statement? So 88% is the declare variable called count and initialize it with the value 1. So this is correct answer. And 13% is actually, this all three are really correct answers, but in most general definition, the first one is the correct answer. This is also correct. One is assigned to the variable count is also correct. And the last one is also correct, because introducing an identifier is the count, and then we are initializing it with the 1 as a value, which is also correct technically. But the most the best definition would be the first one, which is the correct answer. And my last poll, what is output? So if I just have a let variable as a as 10, and then I'm also having a function with the same name as if I just copy this paste without doing anything and run this code, let's see what's going to happen. So what I'm getting is an a has already been declared. So this is a syntax error basically. Why? Because we are not allowed to use the same identifier or same name for both function or any other within the same scope. Here it is in the same scope, meaning it is all having the same, it doesn't come under any of the block scope. It is all in the same scope. We cannot be using the same identifier twice. So this is also true for, we can't use this same name for anything else. For example, if I just put a equal to an object, or if I just put a equal to an array, whatever you do, this will all result in the same output. For example, if I just comment this out, what you will be seeing, we don't have a function, so let me delete this. And if we just simply run it, clear this and then run it now, you're getting the same thing because a has already been defined. So that the learning here is in the same scope, if we have a variable or anything the same name is already declared, we will not be able to use the same thing. So the right answer is here syntax error. 70% answer is the correct one, but these two are not a right answer because it will not print anything actually. So I hope that you are liking this poll, because this is a way we can refresh your knowledge or maybe learning something new on a daily basis. And thanks for watching. You can definitely support this channel by doing the standard YouTube features like share, like and comment, and also subscribe. Thanks again.